You're locked into the Liberty Flames podcast, powered by Rogers Heating and Cooling, servicing Greater Lynchburg's HVAC and electrical needs. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com.
The Liberty Flames mobile app is a must-have for game days. When you download the app, your access to Flames Nation is in the palm of your hand. Listen to our live Liberty Flames Sports Network audio broadcast. Click the Media tab, and under Audio, find the live broadcast in progress. Football, basketball, baseball, coaches shows, all right here. Purchase and manage tickets to the next Flames home game. Click the Tickets tab. Select Purchase Tickets. Then you have the ability to buy seats to the next game. Download those tickets directly to your device and scan them at the gate. Or select Manage Tickets to download your previously purchased tickets or parking pass. Transfer or sell your tickets easily through the Manage Tickets button. Download the Liberty Flames mobile app today from your App Store or Google Play.
Welcome to the NAZSCAR podcast with Nick Pierce. Don't worry, there's no lap, traffic, or caution flags here. Paul Nazigian and Tim Scarborough are here to bring you the latest on Liberty Flames basketball and mid-major hoops. Now, let's get to it. Here's Nick, Naz, and Scar.
Happy New Year, Flames Nation. Welcome back into another NAZSCAR podcast. I'm Nick Pierce, Paul Nazigian and Tim Scarborough with us, Naz and Scar, and we are here to break down Flames basketball once again in 2026. Glad you were on board here, and great time to be talking some Flames hoops. Liberty on a 5-game winning streak, defending the home court this past weekend with a couple of huge conference wins. Flames go to 3-0 in Conference USA. We'll chop it all up here for you on this week's show. NAZSCAR, part of the Liberty Flames podcast family, and that is presented by Rogers Heating and Cooling. Make sure you get your heat pumps, your HVAC systems working properly here in these winter months. Schedule your service today at callrogers.com. Fellas, good to see you again. I'm another year older, another year uglier. Glad to have you guys here, though, picking up the slack, though.
Yeah, happy belated birthday, baby. That's New right. Year, right?
Baby New Year. New Year's Day every year since 1984. And, you know, my mom, she was a great mom, God rest her soul, but she always lied to me. She told me everyone was in Times Square celebrating my birthday, and I believed it. I believed it until I was about, how old was I last
21?
Year? No. But no, it was always fun as a kid ringing in the new year, the baby New Year, as you said, Scar. So,
yep.
Yeah, you guys have a good New Year though. Anything special outside of watching Flames basketball, right?
Yeah, it was special. I made it all the way to midnight.
That is a milestone now.
That's good. I must admit, I fell asleep and I woke up in time to see the ball drop. So.
There you go.
Then I couldn't get back to sleep.
Made it to midnight. Do they still drop the peach in Georgia? That was a big thing.
They do. I never watch it though. I'm a northeasterner, man. I can't do the southern thing.
Yeah, most people watch the ball drop in Times Square. Yeah, that's something that we were talking about on New Year's Eve. I think that the desire to be there has passed me by. At one point, I kind of wanted to do it and take it in and you know be in the mass of humanity. I don't know, man. 42 years old.
I hear it's not as glamorous as it sounds.
No, well, you're not allowed to leave. Now, I have been in Manhattan on New Year's Eve, and they close it down systematically. It's block by block. And in whatever city block you're in, you're there for the duration.
Yeah, I don't like that.
No. And by the way, restaurants do not let outsiders in to use their bathrooms, so just keep that in mind.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I would much rather be home watching some Flames basketball at the arena or on TV. I did a little bit of both here this past weekend. And as I said, it was a good weekend for the Flames. Liberty winning over Kennesaw State this past Friday, 81-73 over KSU, and then beating Jacksonville State 78-69. Naz and I did the show Sans Scar last week, and one thing we talked about, Paul, was, man, if you could, winning that FIU game was so big last weekend in overtime, because now it's like, well, even if you split at home against, in theory, two of the better teams, what we all expect to be in the league this year, you feel pretty good at 2-1 coming out of those first three. Now you're 3-0. I mean, the Flames have got to feel really good about where they are right now.
Yeah, and looking at the schedule, Yeah, it was nice. It's really interesting because the way the schedule was, and I think this may have had a little impact in the Kennesaw game, is Liberty opened up on the 28th, but some of the conference schools opened several days before that. And Kennesaw was a team that did not play for like 14 days because their conference game was earlier. And so, but yeah, Nick, you're right. Like we looked at that schedule and say that was it was a nice way to just kind of get the rust off of Christmas break down at FIU, and then you knew this homestand was going to be tough. Not just because these teams are good and there's history there between both of them, but these are two teams that everybody seemed to think was going to be in the top half, and certainly with Kennesaw being picked number 2, like you just knew it was going to be a battle. So yeah, they did a great job this weekend.
Yeah, I would say Kennesaw kind of lost their mojo a little bit. When I saw them play earlier this year,
that's right.
They were playing very well, scoring a lot of points. They were giving up a lot of points too, but they played a high-paced game. And then you think about what happened to them. They lost to Delaware over the weekend. I mean, Delaware is not a very good basketball team. Delaware is going to finish in last place in this league. I'm pretty confident of that. So for them to lose, and it wasn't close, right? They lost by double digits. So that after Liberty may have taken a little bit out of them, lost on Friday the 2nd to Liberty, and then Sunday at Delaware. I mean, that is just, add that to. Now I will say this: they opened with 3 road games. They were at Middle in the middle of December, and that was one of those earlier games. Lost a 1-point battle, and just like Liberty winning a close game against FIU kind of spurred them. Losing that close game to Middle kind of hurt Kennesaw a little bit. So, but they haven't played a home game yet, so I'm going to go up and watch them play. I think Wednesday or Thursday of this week, Missouri State. So I'll get a real good feel for Missouri State, who I think is going to challenge Liberty. We'll get to that a little bit later. But it's going to be interesting to see how Kennesaw can bounce back.
Yeah, Wednesday night at the Owl's Nest in North Atlanta, Kennesaw State and Missouri State. Also FIU at Jacksonville State. Those are the next set of Conference USA games, both those tipping off at 7 o'clock. But you go back, before we get to this Jacksonville State game on Sunday, it's the most recent one. We'll talk plenty about that in just a moment. But while we're on the subject of Kennesaw, man, I'm looking back at the stats. I did not get to watch this game in great detail last Friday. I was in Charlotte working a bowl game, but I watched some of the first half. I was just shocked at the shooting percentage for Kennesaw State, guys. I mean, 34%. They took 80 shots in that game. Liberty only took 53.
Yeah, that is a disparity.
And they go 20,
quite a disparity.
Yeah, 27 of 80. Simeon Cottle still finishes up with 22 points, but it took him 23 shots to get it. We talked about this Liberty team and how the defensive identity may not be as strong as it has been in the past, but that's okay because they're scoring a lot of points. Man, the defense really showed up, I thought, last Friday night.
Go ahead, Naz.
Good. I was just gonna say, you guys will appreciate this. That before I forget, the 80 possessions. The team hadn't had 80 possessions against Liberty since, you guys will remember this, VMI. When they were
very different style of game too.
That's right, running and gunning, and they that was a 122 to
117.
117. Yeah. So we kind of referenced that during the game, but 80 possessions, and I think what was weird also of that was they got 25 offensive rebounds, and
that's diabolical.
Yeah,
they have more offensive rebounds than defense, and we talked about that being a real strength and a strategy. It's really a strategy. I mean, they throw it up there just so they can go get the offensive rebound and try to get a stick back. But yeah, they're one of the better offensive rebound teams I've seen at any level.
Yeah, you're right, Tim. And it's absolutely a thing that they practice, and it's a part of their offense. And you'll see they'll bowl guys over and just say, hey, the ref can't call them all. We're just crashing the glass, and if somebody's in our way, we'll kind of and man, they are, because again, it wasn't like we didn't know what was coming, and Liberty was trying to put bodies on guys, and it was a physical game, and again, they're certainly an athletic team, and it was crazy. They Liberty kind of got out to a little lead, and you saw them try to turn up the heat, and they did, and kind of close the gap. And as you guys watched that, like they cut the lead and they got it to 2, and somebody was counting. They said they had like 10 shots in the paint when they were down 2 and couldn't hit one. Wow. Like they were getting rebounds. I mean, they got great looks and it just would not fall. And so absolutely, Nick, it was absolutely a kind of a bend but don't break defense, and they gritted out and never relinquished the lead. But yeah, very odd in that sense. Like so many offensive rebounds and second chances, and the percentages, just Liberty just found a way. And that's what we talk about that. Like, doesn't have to be pretty, but you have to like find a way to win, and they did what they needed to do.
Yeah, I think Simeon Cottle has shot them out of the last couple of games. His shooting percentage is way down. And that's the other thing. I thought he was letting the game kind of come to him in the earlier part of the season. But he's looking to shoot every time he touches it now. And in my opinion, to their detriment, because they do have other guys that can score. I like Darius Washington III coming off the bench, 6'5". Rickard comes off the bench. He didn't do a lot. He only played 7 minutes against Liberty, but he's one of their better scorers as well, in my opinion. But obviously Lou, preseason all-conference player, and he took his share of shots. But the other thing you mentioned, they are so aggressive. Everybody was in foul trouble against Liberty, so they don't call them all, but they called their fair share. They have some adjustments to make, in my opinion.
Yeah, you're right, Scar. They Coach Petway was over there, and he was working the officials like, come on, you guys are calling everything, and it's like, and Richie's there, going, man, they're killing us, they're hacking us to death. So I mean, both coaches were trying to work it, for their philosophy and style. But I want to hear what you guys think about this. I kind of have a theory, like they open 0-3, and you're right, it's on the road, and that's difficult. I wonder if they have a little bit of, we've seen this with different teams, but most recently even with Liberty. Like when Liberty had Darius McGee, you're like, man, what an incredible weapon, right? Incredible player.
Yeah.
But there were times that people stood and watched and will be like, Darius will do something amazing. Yeah. And oftentimes he did.
Simeon Cottle's going to bail us out at some point. And
nothing's happening, and Simeon Cottle goes, I got to go bail everybody out. And I think it's kind of throwing their offense off. Like last year, you had him and Woolley and kind of Lou as that third guy, and they had other options. I wonder if, because they're so young, and again, Coach Petway talked about wanting to go out and get true freshmen and young guys and develop them. But I think some of the young guys are like, man, if it doesn't come easy, Simeon, go do some magic. And I think that kind of hurts teams at times.
It can for sure.
Yeah. And good luck going out and developing all freshmen, by the way, in this day and age. You lose them sooner than you can develop them.
Good luck retaining them, correct.
Yeah, that's the issue, concern. Right? Yeah. And you might not get the best version of them until they're gone. But Kennesaw State 0-3, they have some things to figure out. Maybe it's just getting back home, Scar, like you said. Then you go to Sunday when the Flames are taking on Jacksonville State in a rematch of the Conference USA Championship game from last year. And some new faces for Jacksonville State, as is the case with pretty much everyone, right? And this was a game that the Flames had to kind of grit out. I was there in the arena on Sunday, Naz. We saw the Flames get out to that early lead. Jacksonville State comes back, takes advantage of about a 5-minute scoring drought for Liberty, and then Caden Matheny just turns it on. And I think there was a point where I turned to my father-in-law and was like, he can let it go from anywhere today. You could tell he was just feeling it, knocked down his first 4 threes. I think he had 5 in the first half, finished up with 22 points. But I thought the Flames really showed a lot of grit, toughness, and composure in this game because Jacksonville State was hit with, 3 technical fouls? Yeah. 2 of them on players, for rough play on the floor. Ray Harper got one going after the officials, I think, late in the first half. I mean, this is a game that I think a less experienced team may have wilted a little bit. and you just saw, at least, I'll say at least three guys that were out there on the floor. We know that the big three for Liberty, they were able to just kind of keep their wits about them and say, okay, this is what it is. We're going to do what we do, and we're not going to let that bother us.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't get to watch that live. I was traveling with I was in Daytona this weekend at Bethune-Cookman, but I did watch it earlier on Monday. And I saw some of the end of the game, and then I just watched the beginning today. And one thing I noticed is, you're right. I thought Matheny was the only reason Liberty was still in the game in the first half. No one else was really doing much offensively. And then the second half, both teams picked it up because Mustafa El Akakil. I knew I was going to murder that.
Mo.
Mo.
You started off so strong, though.
Yeah, he was 3 for 15 from the field, and I don't know if he even scored in the first half. So he got all his buckets in the second half, and that's major. We talked about Liberty's defense. It's not what it was. We know that. Doesn't have to be because they're so efficient offensively, but they're still a good defensive team. So they're giving up 42% from the field, which is about what good teams give. And then 33 from three, which is about what good teams do. We're used to them holding people under 40% and maybe sometimes in the low 30s or even high 20s from downtown. But still, Liberty is good enough to lock up an individual. And they did a great job on Mo on Sunday. As a result, they got a win.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly what happened. And just we were talking with we did an interview with their associate head coach, and pregame I got to talking to one of the other assistants, and he's like, yeah, we're just, we're trying to find our identity. And, you bring in all these guys, and they brought in some good ones, but it's a whole new roster. And he's like, man, we're still trying to get these guys to blend and rely on each other. And so then you get into the game, and they really did a great job on Mutauakil. We had to say that a million times, so I'm ready for it. But they did a really good job on him. They tandem, like Cleveland was on him sometimes, and then Harper and they
did really good job.
Yeah, and to your point, Nick, it frustrated him. He started forcing stuff, and then they kind of panicked because they're like, man, our guy isn't scoring, and I think that's where they got a little chippy. And again, Liberty kept great composure and just kept the pressure on them. You mentioned Matheny. He had a 9-0 run of his own. He hit 3 threes, just like boom, 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 and it just knocked them back on their heels. But yeah, and then the second half, wanted to definitely credit. I mean, obviously the guys were Cleveland did a great job. I want to credit his defense. He had like 1 or 2 points in the first half, and he finished 10, 10, and 7. Like it's amazing. But Matheny was hitting shots, Porter controlling the offense, and but Josh Smith came in and had another great performance. And he was all over the glass, playing good D. I forget what did he have. I think he had 13 and 7, 12 and 8. I mean, and we've been talking about him.
It's really good. Playing starters minutes now too, 21 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he just really and it was interesting because Jackson State had the 7-footer, and then also the forward Erkins Ford, who really showed some really great. He was their high scorer, and
he was on fire. He couldn't miss.
He was on fire. So Smith came in, helped defend the post, and like it really, again, we've talked about that, how they can sort of go with that quote unquote bigger lineup with Smith in there and moving Cleveland to the 4, and really, again, there was some plays that were legit flagrant fouls, and Liberty stepped to the line. Gosh, we got to mention that in those 2 games, 79% in both games from the free throw line. Oh man, we got to mention that.
Smith in particular can really knock him down. So that's good because he's going to get fouled. As a big, they throw it in there to him. He gets his share of offensive rebounds too. Again, Liberty is not a big offensive rebounding team. They don't really send people to the glass. Right. But Josh Smith is one guy that actually does go to the glass, and he's got some freedom, and he gets his share of them. So he's going to get fouled. So it's good to see him knock those down.
You're right. It was like a 4-point game. I mean, the game was still in the balance, and I forget it. I think it was I think it was Matheny took it down the lane,
Yeah,
missed a
it was.
layup, and
Big tip in.
yeah, he grabbed it was a great putback, an athletic move, and it was a big basket, a big momentum to kind of keep it at 2 possessions. So yeah, he did a great job, but everybody really played well, played together. And again, you're seeing it. And Nick, I think you kind of mentioned it, like having all those guys back, there's a lot of different aspects, but the composure, like they didn't panic when both teams, Kennesaw and Jack, made their run.
True.
In both games, they just handled it. And the night before Kennesaw, I mean, Zach Cleveland's leading the scoring run, and with Jacksonville State game, it's Matheny and a supporting cast. So they definitely trust each other, and that offense just really is clicking. There's I think Scar, you just mentioned, 51 from the floor and like 41 from 3. I mean, they just take great shots. They share it. They get to the guy who has the hot hand or the open look. That's better, and it's really. And then even when people are running them off the line, I mean, they are taking that penetration with purpose. Sometimes to the rim, maybe a lob or a penetrate to kick it all the way out the other side.
Yep.
They just seem to always make the right decision.
And that's something that Coach McKay talked about after the game as well. And that's something now that we've seen multiple times. You go back to the Dayton game where Liberty was able to do that. Third smallest team in the country, they're still getting in there, mixing it up in the paint, driving to the basket. And I thought that was impressive. I mean, yes, they have guys that are capable of knocking down threes, but as Coach McKay said after the game, we're not trying to lead the country in this stat or that stat. We're just trying to win the game. And if the defense is giving us that, we're going to take that. And certainly they had some opportunities where they took advantage with the big guy out. But even before that, I even asked Caden and Colin about that after the game, Matheny and Porter, and was like, when my man 99 came out of the game.
Yeah,
like,
Niagu. Yeah,
Niagu. Thank you.
The 7-foot Russian.
Yeah. And he was like, well, really, we were finding ways to get to the basket even before that too, and it's true. So that's something that Liberty's going to have to do. They're going to have to be more versatile. A couple stats I'll hit you with coming into this week. Brett Decker Jr. didn't have the huge scoring output against Jacksonville State. Still finished up with 16 points though. Struggled a little bit from distance, just 1 of 5, but he's still shooting 51% from 3 this season.
Bananas.
That is second best among qualified Division I players in the country. And only one guy in the history of Conference USA has shot at least 50% from 3 over a full season. Scar, do you know who that is?
Maybe Giddy Potts.
It is Giddy Potts. You covered Conference USA for a while.
Yeah.
Go back to 2015-16.
Yeah. I saw a lot of Giddy Potts games. I saw a lot of that. And the thing I remember about Giddy Potts, he was 2 for his first 20. He was a freshman, and he wasn't playing. He was out of shape. And then all of a sudden, one night, and I was there, and he just turned into the Giddy Potts that we all know and love. Yeah, really good shooter.
Scar up 1-0 here so far. He had to make up for that bad take at the end of last year. The last show he was going into the Dayton.
I don't remember anything about Dayton other than when it comes to cities, Cleveland is clearly better than Dayton. You see what I'm saying?
I'm not going to say that Brett Decker Jr. won't shoot 51% for the rest of the year. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's right.
He could. I mean,
he could.
You very well could.
And to that point, again, you talk about this team trusting each other and being unselfish. And, there's a guy who you watch Decker play and, he's still shooting 50%, but you don't see him hunting shots.
Not at all.
He'll pass up good looks to get a guy a great shot. And you talk about composure and maturity.
He plays like a senior.
Yes, I mean, yes.
His defense is improving every game. I watch him. He's locked in, man. He's way different. He's more engaged. I'm not gonna say he's a shutdown guy, but he's way more engaged at the defensive end. And he is absolutely letting it come to him because he is creative enough to take a shot every possession. He could do that if he wanted to, but he knows it helps when he's more efficient and he's got other teammates that he can rely on.
Yeah, and you're starting to see now people are playing him a little step closer.
Yeah.
They're not coming off him in a normal sort of help position, and he knows that. And a couple times he'll, he when guys are running at him, he goes off the dribble, but he's
Hmm.
not forcing it. And I really want to mention that because that's a credit because a lot of people wouldn't do that. They'd force shots. They'd
Yeah.
kind of get focused on themselves, and man, he's just making that offense. He's every bit a part of it as the other guys are. It is a beautiful thing when they're sharing it and man, they're shooting. What is it? They're second in the country in effective field goal
Yeah.
percentage.
Yeah,
Like
in the nation. Yeah.
amazing. Like and when you watch it, it's really great it's
And it's
flicking.
crazy. I mean, you mentioned that. Think about the size of the Liberty team. They're very small at every
Mhm.
position, right? When Josh Smith comes in, they become a normal size team. But, you got Zach Cleveland playing the five. And how about those small guards?
Right.
I was one of the people because when I played, Bailey Austin, myself, we were the guards, 6'3" each,
Right.
right? We liked big guards. Richie McKay was a bigger guard and he liked big guards and he said it. And I think we got to credit Darius McGee because before him, Richie didn't even like recruiting small guards. He told me that years ago. I like bigger guards. And now, I mean, we have a pipeline of little guards like we used to have a pipeline of Nigerians in the post years
That's
ago. Now all of a sudden we got all these diminutive guards that are absolute killers. And let me just tell you, you guys know Matheny and Porter will burn you if you're not careful.
Well, the Flames second in effective field goal percentage, also fourth in the country in assist to turnover ratio. That'll win you a lot of games. Sixth
Yeah,
in 3-point
absolutely.
shooting percentage as well. You look ahead to what's coming up here this week. You got to go out and do it on the road again now. Coming up Thursday night, round one, test one, Liberty at Louisiana Tech. That's not an easy place to go win. In Ruston, Louisiana. La Tech 8-6 though on the year, 1-2 in the conference. That's a different looking team. We were talking about that coming on. There's no more Daniel Baccio. There's no more Newman. This is a team that's struggling to score points. But when you look at what they've done on the defensive side, because they've had to, they are very impressive in terms of scoring defense. They are near the tops in the country right now, second in the nation, giving up just 59 points per game. So one thing I talked about with Coach McKay after the game on Sunday is just how you look at this 5-game win streak for Liberty. Almost all these games look completely different. The obviously the Midway game was what it was. Dayton,
Yeah.
different style of ball game. Flames had to score
Yes.
differently. The game was played in the low 60s. Overtime game at FIU, game in the high 80s, low 90s, mid 90s by the time it was over with.
Yeah.
Jacksonville State, physical, tough. I mean, these are a lot of different styles that this league is going to throw at you. Probably a reason why that so many games are close all the time. You can't really settle into one style of play, but we've seen the Flames answer the bell so far. So looking ahead to this Louisiana Tech game on Thursday night, different looking crowd. What do you guys see from the Bulldogs?
Well, you look at their losses in conference, though. Again, road games. They play at Middle and at Western. Maybe the toughest, certainly one of the tougher road trips in this league, and it has been for many years. And obviously, Middle is going to challenge for a conference championship. They're that good. So, and
3-0
Western,
in the
I
league
saw
so far, yeah.
Yeah, and I watched Western play at Jackson State. Jacksonville State last week. I wasn't overly impressed. This is one, and you guys mentioned I covered this league for a long time. This is one of the worst Western Kentucky teams I've seen in terms of talent. So I don't know. I thought that was one that maybe Louisiana Tech could get on the road. It was 66-61. It was played in the zone where they need to play to win. Middle put 88 on them. I mean, Middle can score. So.
Yeah.
I expect this game's going to be on CBS on Thursday too with Liberty, and I think Liberty is going to, I feel like Liberty will control that game. I thought that about FIU too, and Liberty had to scrap and scrape and play and win a 97-94 game, which again shows you that Liberty can play multiple styles, slow and steady. Although the pace of Liberty is faster than any Richie McKay team I've seen in a real long time. So,
Yeah.
but that versatility lends itself to winning in this league because there's a lot of different ways to win.
Yeah, I kind of am liking it to the league, this year. And as you look at, these scores and, how will different teams fare, it's kind of like the NFL. Like you watch, right? You watch some of the pregame talks, right? And they're talking about how great this one team is, and the other team they're playing is really bad. And then what's the line? It's like -3. You're like, wait a minute, you just said this one. So that's what I think Conference USA is going to be. Like somebody's going to come in and they're going to be 0-3 playing somebody that's 3-0. And it's going to be like, yeah, you probably only going to win by 4. Like it's. I think it's
look no further. Look no further than what's coming up on the weekend after Louisiana Tech. You got a Sam Houston team now that's 0-3, and remember all those close games that they lost last year. They're coming off a 68-67 loss to Middle Tennessee. They've got Delaware on Thursday night at home before they get Liberty on Saturday afternoon. So who knows how that one's going to go?
Exactly. So that's my point. Like I just think you can look at stats and paper, but when he comes right down to it, they're going to be battles. And again, you might like this weekend, you might look at the score and go, Liberty won by 9, but these are possession by possession games. And kind of to your point, Nick, over these last 5. They've won kind of differently, which is really good, which is really what they need to kind of put those experiences, in their bag. And so like going down there, Coach Hester is all about defense. They do a great job. Louisiana Tech does with playing D. The thing I like about Liberty, again, one of the many things is like they don't need to play a certain way anymore. Like you want to shoot out, they can run with you. You want to slow it down and grind, they can do that too. And so, going down there, we'll have to see if they can get the shots falling and kind of light it up. That'll be great. But if it's a tough physical battle, they've got those wins under their belt too.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, that's what's coming up here this weekend. Liberty will take on Louisiana Tech on Thursday. Liberty at Louisiana Tech on Thursday, and Scar, you mentioned that's a CBS Sports Network game, 7:00 Eastern. Saturday, Liberty at Sam Houston, back on E+. That'll be 3:30 Eastern. I got about a minute or so here. Let's go ahead and get to the Scar Watch real quick, Tim.
All right, my Scar Watch, we talked about this team earlier. Missouri State. Cuonzo Martin's coming in to this league for the first time. He's like Richie McKay. He was the Missouri State coach in the early 2000s. Came back to coach them again. He's in his second year back there. But you remember, he was the head coach of Missouri, and they came into Lynchburg and got absolutely hammered by Liberty by over 30 points, I believe, maybe 40. And, I'm sure Cuonzo is going to remember that and have a whole very healthy respect for Liberty. But they have some pieces, man. I mean, they have a big 3, and Keith Pallick and Kobe Williams, both big scorers, and then a big Michael Osei-Bonsu, a big that can protect the rim. He's actually only 6'4", but he's a shot blocker, and he doesn't shoot threes. And
is he a shot caller, though?
Yeah, he's a shot baller, shot caller, but he's shooting 61% from the field, which tells you that his game is in the interior. So he's kind of the Adrian Dantley, the old school, the small forward type guy that can control the game. So it's going to be exciting. Liberty has a chance to go on a nice little run here with the schedule that's coming up, but later on they'll have Delaware, which should be an easy game, but Middle Tennessee and Missouri State on the other sides of that Delaware game. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But Missouri State is definitely a team to watch.
Yeah, that'll be February 7th when Missouri State comes to Liberty Arena. We'll see how it plays out. 66-45, by the way. Again, that Missouri game back in December of 2021. Ooh. Flames put it on the Tigers that day. Well, we put it on you for as long as we can. That's it for this edition of the NAZSCAR podcast. For Paul Nazigian, for Tim Scarborough, I'm Nick Pierce, part of the Liberty Flames podcast family, presented by Rogers Heating and Cooling, servicing Greater Lynchburg's HVAC and electrical needs. Schedule your service at callrogers.com. Enjoy the hoops this week, folks. We'll be back with you next week here on NAZSCAR.